Hi y'all, it's Andrea over at Sewspire.com, and today I am here to show you how to sew this very sweet cork wristlet slash wallet. This is sized to hold the phone and then just a few essentials perfectly. The wristlet strap is removable, and what makes this clutch so much fun is the patchwork flap and the quilting, which you can do to enhance that. Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to make this sweet clutch, which has a cork exterior, a patchwork flap, a removable wristlet strap, and then a snap closure on the flap and a zippered top. So this finished project measures approximately 7¼ inches across by 4 3/4 inches tall. It is sized perfectly for the cell phone and then just a few other essentials. So to create a flap like mine, I use the split tumbler template by Nancy's Notions, and I used 4-inch squares to get the pieces to craft the flap. And the way that I use this template is I took the 4-inch square and I positioned the template at the 3-inch square mark, and then used my rotary cutter to get 2 pieces that had this particular angle on it. And so for that I had 2 4-inch squares, which then of course resulted in these 4 pieces, and then I put them back together with a different look, and I have to turn that around so I can see how I created that. And then using a 1/4 inch seam, I stitched those together, pressed the seams open, and then quilted that top. Okay, once I have the flap pieced together and then quilted, that measures 6 3/4 inches across by 4 inches tall. And I just cut a like-sized piece of material for the lining of that flap, and I'm going to position that right sides facing. I'm going to stitch down the side, across the bottom, and up the side using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Then I'm going to turn this right side out and press it. Then I'm just going to top stitch around the finished edges. Then I want to install a snap at the center point here. So I'll use the decorative portion on the snap, the exterior patchwork side of the flap, and then the female portion of the snap will sit on top of that on the interior of the flap. And then I go ahead and put the male portion of the snap in there, and I'm going to set the remaining prong aside, and we'll install that when the time comes. So now the flap is ready. I'm going to set that aside, and I want to craft the exterior. For this I'm using a 7-inch zipper and 2 pieces of cork that measure 5 by 8 inches. as well as a strip of cork that measures 3/4 by 8 inches, and one tiny piece of cork that is a 1/2 inch by 2 inches. So we will begin with the 2 larger pieces of cork in the zipper, and the cork is just going to line right up with those zipper teeth. Go ahead and center that on there. I do use pins to hold my cork in place because I only need 2 on each side. So now I'm going to put this on the machine and stitch as close as I can to that zipper to attach. And now my zipper is attached. Now I want to attach the flap to the exterior. So I'm going to lay that right on top of this zipper and cork panel, and I just want to center that and then have it extend about 2 1/4 inches down on the top panel here from this zipper, and the overhang on the opposite side is approximately 1 1/4 inch. And then you're going to take the trim piece of cork and position that on top of the flap to hide those raw seams, and go ahead and use 2 pins to hold that trim in place, and then stitch across there with 2 rows of stitching to secure the flap and the trim. Okay, and now the flap is secured to the exterior. Now go ahead and fold this in half and then fold back over the flap, and then mark with the remaining prong where that is going to need to be installed, and then come from the underside and press that prong through where you marked it. Okay, and then poke those prongs up and then position that snap that's on the flap on top of those prongs, and then hammer that to secure. And see, when this is laying flat, or when the actual body panel is laying flat, that flap is humped up a little bit, but when the wallet or the clutch is actually assembled, that will lay nice for you. So you do need that snap to be positioned a little higher up, which is why you fold it over to test that. Okay, so for now we can leave that unsnapped and laying flat, and we're going to work on the back side here, and we want to bring over the interior panels, which are 5 by 8, and we're going to position the first one right side facing down just above that zipper tape, and then carefully turn that over, and again you can pin that in place to hold it. You may have to move the flap out of your way. And then come over to the front side and stitch along that first stitch line to secure that under piece of material. And that's what it looks like on the back side, and then that will fold over and fashion the lining. So we want to repeat the process on the other side. Take the remaining piece, right side facing down, position that just slightly past that zipper tape, Then carefully turn that over and pin that fabric in place. And then you're going to stitch just below that original stitch line that is securing the zipper. And now both pieces of the lining are in place. That's what it looks like from the front. Now we want to take the small tab of cork and feed that onto either a ring or a D-ring and attach that just below this trim that's holding the flap in place. And you can go ahead and stitch that in place just to the exterior cork layer. That's what we have now. And now with the snap unsnapped, you're going to unzip the zipper and then fold the two pieces of cork together and the two lining pieces together. And then begin with the sides of the cork and stitch all the way down this right hand side and then come over starting at the cork and stitch all the way down the left hand side. Now when I'm working on the back side of the cork, I think it's easier to use one of these Teflon roller feet. So I'm going to switch out the machine foot. Okay, and now the sides have been stitched. Now I'm going to stitch across the bottom edge of that cork. Then I want to trim away the excess from the cork. And then I'm going to reach inside and turn this all right side out. So once you get that turned right side out and you've pressed out your corners on the cork, then you're going to take the raw open end, which is the lining, and fold that inward 1/2 inch and press. And then just go ahead and stitch up that interior lining. And then you can tuck that inside. And the last thing we need to do is just craft the strap. Mine is 2 inches wide by 20 inches long, and I'm using a slightly shorter piece of Pellon 809, which is a fusible lightweight interfacing there to add some stability. And so like I craft all the straps, fold that in half, press, open that up and bring the raw edges inward to meet on that center press line. Press again and then fold over to align the finished edges and press. Then just run a row of top stitching down that to close up the edge. And then I feed the swivel fob on one end of the strap, stitch across those raw edges, and then I pull that fob down to sit on that raw edge there. Turn the strap around, turn the fob around if needed to, and you want that raw edge hiding on the inside of the strap and the fob resting right in that little seam channel, and then stitch across here to secure the fob and hide the raw edge. And then you just attach that to your wristlet and you are all set, ready to load that up. Super cute, right? And very easy as well, thanks to the cork. And we're done. Now I have two really super cute clutches. One I'm going to ship off to my mom for Mother's Day, and one I am going to keep if one of my girls doesn't snatch it up. First, I hope you enjoyed the project. I'd like to thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you will check out nancysnotions.com. They were so generous to donate the template for this project to me, and I am certain that we'll be able to integrate that into future projects as well if you'd like to pick one of those up. You also have the option of just crafting a plain flap and quilting that, or a random patchwork design of your choosing. So I will be back very soon with another inspired project. Until then, as always, please know the creative genius in me will be celebrating the creative genius in you. Have a beautiful week, everyone.